The arrangement. The rain hammered against the windows of the small coffee shop where Maya Richardson sat hunched over her laptop. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she reviewed another grant application rejection. 23 years old and already drowning in a sea of impossible choices. The fluorescent light above her flickered, matching the uncertainty of her future. Maya's phone buzzed with a message from the hospital. Her 15-year-old sister Sophie needed another round of experimental treatment. The cost made her stomach churn. $200,000. She might as well have been asked to buy the moon. 3 years ago, their parents had died in a house fire. Maya had pulled Sophie from the flames, but the smoke damage had destroyed her sister's lungs. Now Sophie lived on borrowed time, waiting for a treatment that insurance refused to cover. Maya had tried everything. She worked as a medical researcher by day, tutored students at night, and sold her plasma twice a week. It still wasn't enough. She closed her laptop and stared out at the city streets. Manhattan gleamed with wealth and opportunity, but none of it seemed meant for her. People rushed past the coffee shop window, their expensive coats and designer bags a world away from her thrift store clothes. The door chimed as someone entered. Maya glanced up and froze. Damian Cross stood in the doorway, shaking rain from his dark hair. Everyone knew who he was. At 32, he had built a technology empire that revolutionized artificial intelligence. His face appeared on magazine covers and tech conference stages. Women threw themselves at him constantly. He scanned the crowded coffee shop, and his eyes landed on Maya. To her complete shock, he walked directly to her table. "You're Maya Richardson," he said. It wasn't a question. She blinked up at him, confused. "Yes. Do I know you?" "Not yet, but I know you. You're the researcher who published that paper on regenerative lung tissue last year. Brilliant work." He gestured to the empty chair across from her. "May I sit?" Maya nodded, too surprised to speak. Damian Cross wanted to talk to her about her research. The paper had received modest attention in academic circles, but nothing that would attract a tech billionaire's notice. He ordered a black coffee and returned to her table. Up close, he was even more striking than his photo suggested. Sharp cheekbones, intense gray eyes, and an air-controlled power that made the space around him feel charged with energy. "I'll be direct because I don't waste time," Damian said, leaning forward. "I need a wife. Temporarily. 1 year. And I want it to be you." Maya's mouth fell open. "Excuse me. My board of directors is threatening to remove me as CEO. They say I'm too volatile, too focused on work, not stable enough to lead the company through our upcoming merger. They want to see me settled, married, responsible." His jaw tightened with frustration. "It's ridiculous, but it's reality. So marry someone you actually care about," Maya said, finding her voice. "I don't have time for real relationships. I work 18-hour days. Romance is a distraction I can't afford." He pulled out a tablet and slid it across the table. "This is my offer. Marry me for 1 year. Attend public events as my wife. Maintain the appearance of a happy marriage. In exchange, I'll pay you $500,000. The number hit Maya like a physical blow. $500,000. Enough for Sophie's treatment with money left over. Enough to change everything. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you're genuine. You're brilliant. You don't care about my money or my status. The press will love the story. Billionaire falls for humble researcher. It's perfect." He studied her face. "And because I saw your hospital bills when I investigated you. I know about your sister. I know you're desperate." Anger flared in Maya's chest. "You investigated me?" "I investigate everyone I do business with. This is business, Maya. Pure and simple. You need money. I need respectability. We can help each other." He stood up. "Think about it. Here's my private number. Call me when you decide." After he left, Maya sat frozen for a long time. The card he'd given her felt heavy in her hand. $500,000. Sophie's life. 1 year of pretending to be married to a stranger. That night, Maya sat beside Sophie's hospital bed and watched her sister sleep. The machines beeped steadily, monitoring every breath. Sophie's face looked so young and pale against the white pillows. She deserved to live. She deserved to grow up, go to college, fall in love, experience everything life had to offer. Maya pulled out Damien's card and stared at it. 1 year of her life for Sophie's future. Was it really even a choice? The next morning, she called. "I'll do it," she said when Damien answered. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "The money goes directly to pay for Sophie's treatment. Every penny. I won't touch it for myself." "Agreed." "This is strictly business. Separate bedrooms. No physical expectations beyond holding hands in public." There was a pause. "Understood. My lawyers will prepare the contracts. We marry in 2 weeks." 2 weeks? Her voice cracked. "The board meeting is in 3 weeks. We need to be married before then." His tone softened slightly. "I know this is fast, Maya, but I'll make it as easy as possible. You'll have your own space, your own life. Just show up when needed." After hanging up, Maya felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff. She had just agreed to marry a man she didn't know, a billionaire who saw her as a business solution. But when the hospital called later that day to say an anonymous donor had paid for Sophie's treatment in full, Maya knew she had made the right choice. The wedding took place in a private ceremony at City Hall. Maya wore a simple cream dress she borrowed from a friend. No family attended except Sophie, who sat in a wheelchair looking worried. Damien arrived in a perfectly tailored suit, his expression unreadable. The ceremony lasted 7 minutes. Damien slipped a platinum ring on her finger that probably cost more than she used to make in 5 years. He kissed her cheek gently for the photographer he had hired, and then she was Mrs. Maya Cross. The name felt strange, like wearing someone else's identity. "Ready to see your new home?" Damien asked, offering his arm. Maya took it, trying to ignore how her heart raced at the simple touch. "As ready as I'll ever be." The penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of the Cross Tower in downtown Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered breathtaking views of the entire city. Maya stepped inside and felt immediately overwhelmed. Her entire apartment from Queens could fit in the entryway. "Your bedroom is through there," Damien said, pointing down a wide hallway. "Mine is on the opposite floor. You have complete privacy. The staff knows not to disturb you unless you request something." He opened a door to reveal a bedroom that looked like something from a luxury hotel. The bed alone was massive, covered in silk sheets that shimmered in the afternoon light. Through another door, she glimpsed a bathroom with a soaking tub and a shower that had more jets than she could count. "It's beautiful," Maya managed. "A stylist will arrive tomorrow to update your wardrobe. You'll need appropriate clothing for the events we'll attend." He checked his watch. "I have a conference call in 5 minutes. Make yourself comfortable. If you need anything, ask James. He's the house manager." And just like that, he was gone. Maya stood alone in her gilded cage, wondering what she had gotten herself into. The first week crawled by in uncomfortable silence. Damien left before dawn each morning and returned after midnight. When they did see each other, their interactions were painfully formal. "Good morning. How was your day?" "Sleep well." Like strangers sharing an elevator. The stylist filled Maya's closet with designer clothes. Each outfit cost more than she used to make in a month. She felt like a doll being dressed for display. But Sophie was improving dramatically with the new treatment, and that made everything bearable. On day 8, Maya was reading a medical journal in the living room when Damien came home earlier than usual. He loosened his tie and actually looked at her instead of through her. "How's Sophie doing?" he asked. "Much better. The doctors are amazed at her progress." Maya set down her journal. "Thank you for saving her life. It's part of our arrangement." "Still, thank you." They looked at each other for a long moment. Something shifted in the air between them, some invisible wall developing a hairline crack. "Have you eaten dinner?" Damien asked suddenly. "Not yet." "Neither have I." He walked toward the kitchen. "I hope you like Italian. It's one of the few things I can actually cook." Maya followed him, surprised. "You cook?" "My grandmother insisted I learn. She said a man who couldn't feed himself was helpless. He began pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. She raised me after my parents died, taught me everything that mattered. She sounds wonderful. She was... His hands paused briefly. Cancer took her 5 years ago. I miss her every single day. They fell into comfortable silence as he prepared pasta carbonara with practiced ease. Maya found herself relaxing for the first time since moving in. This glimpse of the real Damien, the man behind the billionaire mask, fascinated her. When he served the pasta, it was delicious, creamy and perfectly seasoned with crispy pancetta. "This is really good," Maya said. "Don't sound so surprised." His eyes held amusement. "I'm not completely useless outside a boardroom." Over dinner, they actually talked. He asked about her research. She found herself explaining her work on tissue regeneration and her dream of finding a cure for lung diseases like Sophie's. "Why medical research?" Damien asked. "Because I couldn't save my parents, but maybe I can save others." Maya's throat tightened. "They died because we couldn't afford the best treatments. Money shouldn't determine who lives and who dies." Damien studied her for a long moment. "You're remarkable, Maya. You know that." Heat flooded her cheeks. "I'm just doing what anyone would do." "No, most people wouldn't sacrifice a year of their life for someone else. Most people wouldn't work 3 jobs trying to save their sister. You're extraordinary." The way he looked at her made Maya's heart skip, like she mattered, like she was more than just a business arrangement. The next morning, Damien surprised her at breakfast with an envelope. "Columbia University has an excellent medical research program," he said. "I made some calls. They're willing to admit you for the fall semester. Full scholarship." Maya stared at the acceptance letter, tears blurring her vision. "How did you do this?" "I'm on the board of trustees. Your previous research is impressive. You deserve this opportunity." He pushed the envelope toward her. "Go back to school, Maya. Chase your dreams." She threw her arms around him impulsively, forgetting their careful distance. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Damien stiffened momentarily. Then his arms came around her carefully. Maya could feel his heart beating against her cheek, smell his cologne mixed with something uniquely him. When she pulled back, his eyes were darker, more intense. "You're welcome," he said softly. Their first public appearance as a married couple came 2 weeks later. A charity gala at the Metropolitan Museum. Maya wore an emerald green gown the stylist had chosen, her hair professionally styled. She felt like an imposter among the glittering crowd of Manhattan's elite. "Relax," Damien murmured as they entered the grand hall. His hand rested warm and steady on her waist. "You look stunning. Just be yourself." But being herself became harder when a woman in a scarlet dress approached them. She was breathtakingly beautiful with perfect features, an air of ownership that set Maya's teeth on edge. "Damien, darling," the woman purred, completely ignoring Maya. "I heard a ridiculous rumor that you'd gotten married." "It's true, Victoria," Damien said coolly. "This is my wife, Maya." Victoria's eyes swept over Maya with thinly veiled contempt. "How charming. Where did you two meet?" "She doesn't exactly run in our circles." "We met through work," Maya said calmly, refusing to be intimidated. "I'm a medical researcher." "How noble," Victoria said with a condescending smile. "Playing the saint to land a billionaire. Well done." "Victoria, that's enough," Damien said sharply. "Oh, please. Everyone knows this is fake. You don't do love, Damien. So what is this? A business arrangement? Or did she trap you somehow?" Heat flooded Maya's face. Before she could respond, Damien pulled her close and kissed her. Not a gentle peck, but a real kiss that made her head spin and her knees weak. His lips moved against hers with surprising tenderness, one hand cradling the back of her head. When he pulled away, Maya couldn't breathe. Her entire body felt like it was on fire. "Does that answer your question?" Damien said to Victoria, his voice dangerous. "My wife is none of your concern. Stay away from us." He led Maya away, his jaw tight with anger. When they reached a quiet balcony overlooking the city, she was trembling. "I'm sorry," he said. Victoria has always been vindictive, but that was inappropriate. She's right, though, isn't she? Maya said quietly, "This is a business arrangement." Damien turned her to face him, his hands on her shoulders. Maybe it started that way, but it's becoming something else. At least for me. Her breath caught. What do you mean? I mean I look forward to coming home because you're there. I mean I think about you during meetings when I should be focused on work. I mean that kiss wasn't just for show. He searched her face. Tell me I'm not alone in this, Maya. Maya's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. She had been trying desperately not to develop feelings for him. Their arrangement had an expiration date. Getting attached would only lead to heartbreak. But somewhere between the pasta dinners and the Columbia acceptance letter, between his gentleness with Sophie and the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, she had fallen for him anyway. "You're not alone," she whispered. He kissed her again, softer this time, tender and full of promise. When they returned to the gala, everything had changed between them. The pretend marriage was becoming dangerously real. The revelation, the weeks following the gala transformed Maya's life in ways she never anticipated. The contract marriage that was supposed to remain strictly business had evolved into something genuine and terrifying. Damien started coming home earlier each evening. They cooked dinner together, their movements synchronizing in the kitchen like a dance they had practiced for years. He asked about her research classes at Columbia. She listened to him talk about the pressures of running a billion-dollar company. They held hands while watching movies on the enormous living room couch. He kissed her goodnight at her bedroom door, but never pushed for more. The separate bedrooms remained a barrier neither of them had crossed, though the tension between them grew stronger each day. Maya visited Sophie 3 times a week at the hospital. Her sister's transformation was miraculous. Color had returned to her cheeks. She could breathe without machines. The experimental treatment was working beyond anyone's expectations. "You look happy," Sophie said one afternoon, studying Maya's face with a perceptiveness only a sister could have. Really happy, not just pretending. Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I am happy. You're getting better." "I'm not talking about me." Sophie grinned. "You're falling for him, aren't you?" "It's complicated," Maya said, but her smile gave her away. "Life is complicated. Love doesn't have to be." Sophie squeezed her hand. "He looks at you like you hung the moon, Maya. I see it every time he visits. Whatever started as fake has become real." Maya wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Sophie was right. Somewhere along the way, she had fallen completely in love with Damien Cross. And the scariest part was that he seemed to feel the same way. 2 months into their marriage, a business scandal erupted. A former executive accused Damien of financial fraud. The allegations were false, fabricated by a man seeking revenge after being fired for embezzlement. But the media didn't care about truth. They cared about headlines. The stock price plummeted. Board members demanded emergency meetings. Reporters camped outside the building, shouting invasive questions whenever Damien appeared. Maya watched him struggle under the weight of it all. The confident billionaire she had married became someone haunted and exhausted. He worked until 3 a.m, reviewing documents and meeting with lawyers. Dark circles appeared under his eyes. He stopped eating properly. One night, Maya found him in his home office, head in his hands, surrounded by legal briefs. "It's all lies," he said, his voice broken. "Richard was stealing millions from the company. Now he's trying to destroy me to save himself." Maya walked to him and gently pulled his hands away from his face. "Then we fight. We prove the truth." "We?" He looked up at her with red-rimmed eyes. "Yes, we. You think I'm going to abandon you when things get difficult? That's not who I am, Damien." She knelt beside his chair. "You stood by me when I needed help. Now it's my turn to stand by you." Something broke in his expression. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "I don't deserve you." "Yes, you do," she whispered against his shoulder. Maya became his fiercest defender. When reporters shouted cruel questions, she held her head high and defended her husband with unwavering conviction. When board members questioned his integrity, she attended meetings and spoke about his character with passionate certainty. She researched financial records, helped lawyers find evidence, and refused to let Damien face the battle alone. It took 6 weeks, but finally the truth emerged. Security footage showed Richard transferring funds. Email records proved the embezzlement. Computer logs documented everything. The charges against Damien were dropped. Richard was arrested. The company's reputation began to recover. The night the news broke, Damien came home looking lighter than he had in weeks. The first thing he did was pull Maya into his arms and hold her for a long moment. "I couldn't have survived this without you," he said against her hair. "You're the strongest person I know, the most incredible woman I've ever met. We're a team," Maya said simply. That night, they celebrated with his legal team at an upscale restaurant. Wine flowed freely. People congratulated Damien on his vindication, but he barely noticed anyone except Maya. His eyes kept finding her across the room. Every smile was for her. Every touch lingered just a moment longer than necessary. When they returned to the penthouse, the air between them crackled with unspoken desire. Months of restrained feelings and careful boundaries had finally reached a breaking point. They stood in the living room, city lights twinkling to the windows, and Maya knew everything was about to change. "Maya," Damien said, his voice rough with emotion, "I don't want separate bedrooms anymore. I don't want this to be temporary or fake. I want you, all of you, for real." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "I want that too. I love you, Damien. I think I've loved you for weeks now." "I love you," he said, and the word seemed to surprise him. "I didn't think I was capable of feeling this way, but you changed everything. You walked into my carefully controlled life and turned it upside down in the best possible way." He crossed the room in 3 long strides and kissed her with a passion that made her dizzy. His hands tangled in her hair. Her fingers clutched at his shirt. When he swept her into his arms and carried her toward his bedroom, Maya's pulse raced with anticipation and nervousness. Damien's bedroom was all dark wood and masculine elegance. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the Manhattan skyline. But Maya barely noticed the decor as he laid her gently on the enormous bed, his eyes dark with desire and something deeper that made her chest ache. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice strained with restraint. "We can wait if you're not ready. I don't want to rush you." "I'm sure," Maya whispered, pulling him down for another kiss. His hands were surprisingly gentle as he began undressing her. Each button he unfastened was accompanied by a kiss. Each inch of skin he revealed was worshipped with tender attention. Maya had imagined this moment countless times, but reality was overwhelming. The way he looked at her, like she was precious and perfect, made tears prick at her eyes. Damien kissed along her collarbone, down to her shoulder, his hands exploring with reverent care. Maya's breath came in short gasps. Her body responded to his touch in ways she had never experienced. Heat pooled low in her abdomen. Her skin felt hypersensitive, every caress sending sparks through her nervous system. But as his weight settled over her and he moved to join their bodies, fear suddenly gripped Maya. She had never done this before, never been touched this intimately by anyone. She had spent her entire adult life taking care of Sophie, working multiple jobs, surviving. Romance and physical relationships had been luxuries she couldn't afford. The pressure increased. Then came sharp, unexpected pain that tore through her like a blade. Maya couldn't stop the scream that ripped from her throat. The sound echoed through the bedroom, raw and agonized. Damien froze instantly. His face went pale with shock and horror. "Maya, what's wrong? Did I hurt you?" Tears streamed down her face. She was embarrassed and overwhelmed and in pain. "I'm sorry. I'm okay. Just give me a second." But he was already pulling away, his expression transforming from desire to stunned realization. His eyes widened as understanding crashed over him like a wave. He looked down at the sheets, then back at her face, and the truth became undeniable. "You're a virgin," he said, his voice cracking on the words. "You were a virgin." Maya covered her face with her hands, mortified beyond measure. "I'm sorry. I should have told you. Sorry." Damien's voice broke completely. "You're apologizing?" He gathered her carefully into his arms, holding her like she might shatter. "Maya, I'm the one who should apologize. I had no idea. I would have been more careful, more gentle. I would have made this special for you. It's not your fault, she whispered against his chest. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes searching her face with intensity. Why didn't you tell me? Fresh tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. Because I was embarrassed. Because I'm 23 years old, and everyone assumes I have experience. Because I didn't want you to think I was some naive girl who didn't know anything about the world. Maya, he cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs wiping away her tears. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Nothing wrong with you. I just wish I had known so I could have made this better for you. I wanted my first time to be with someone I loved, she said quietly. And I love you, Damien. So much it scares me. His expression softened into something that made her heart ache. I love you, too. More than I thought possible. He kissed her forehead gently. But we're stopping now. You're in pain, and I won't continue when I've hurt you. I want this, Maya insisted. I want you, and you'll have me, but not like this. Not when you're hurting. He got up and disappeared into the bathroom. She heard water running. When he returned, he carried a warm washcloth and sat beside her on the bed. Let me take care of you, he said softly. His gentleness undid her completely. Fresh tears came as he cleaned her so carefully. His touch nothing but tender concern. He brought her one of his soft T-shirts to wear and pain medication from a bathroom cabinet. Then he climbed back into bed and simply held her, stroking her hair while she cried against his chest. I'm sorry I ruined everything, Maya said. You didn't ruin anything. You gave me the most precious gift anyone could give. You trusted me with something incredibly important. He tilted her chin up, so she had to meet his eyes. I'm honored, Maya, and I promise that when we try again, it will be perfect. No pain, no fear, just us. When we try again, she asked hesitantly, did you think one difficult experience would scare me away? He smiled slightly. I'm not going anywhere. We have our whole lives to learn each other, to make this beautiful between us. Maya felt something loosen in her chest. Our whole lives. Our contract ends in 10 months, Damien said. But I don't want you to leave. I want to tear up that contract and start over. I want a real marriage with you, Maya, not for business or appearances, because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Really, hope bloomed in her chest like a flower opening to sunlight. Really. He kissed her softly. Marry me again, for real this time, because you love me and I love you. Because we choose each other. Yes, Maya whispered. Yes, 1,000 times yes. They lay together in the darkness, wrapped in each other's arms. The pain faded. The embarrassment dissolved. What remained was something pure and true. Two people who had found each other in the strangest circumstances and discovered that sometimes the best things in life come when you least expect them. Tell me about your first time, Maya said quietly. What it was like for you? Damien was silent for a moment. I was 17. It was with a girl I barely knew at a party. It was quick and awkward and meaningless. I wish I had waited for someone special, someone who mattered. Do I matter? She asked. You matter more than anything, he said fiercely. You're my whole world, Maya. Everything changed when you walked into my life. Over the following weeks, they took things slowly. Damien was patient beyond measure, never pushing, always gentle. He helped Maya become comfortable with intimacy at her own pace. They spent hours just touching and exploring, learning what brought pleasure without pain. He made her feel safe and cherished. The first time they successfully made love, it was everything Maya had hoped for, beautiful and tender and perfect. Damien took his time, ensuring she felt only pleasure. When they finally joined together, there was no pain, only connection and love, and the feeling of two souls becoming one. Afterward, they lay tangled together, breathless and happy. That was worth waiting for, Maya said, tracing patterns on his chest. That was perfect, Damien agreed. You're perfect. 3 months later, they had a second wedding. This one was real. Sophie served as maid of honor, glowing with health in her rose-colored dress. Damien's business partners attended alongside Maya's research colleagues from Columbia. They exchanged new vows, promises made not for contracts or arrangements, but from the heart. I promise to love you through every challenge, Damien said, his voice thick with emotion. To be your partner in all things. To never take for granted the gift of your love. I promise to stand by you always, Maya said through happy tears. To believe in you when others doubt. To love you with everything I have. When they kissed, it felt like coming home. 1 year later, Maya stood in her research lab at Columbia holding a breakthrough. Her team had developed a new treatment for lung disease that could revolutionize medicine. Sophie was completely cured, thriving in high school, and Maya was 3 months pregnant with her and Damien's first child. She thought about that desperate night in the coffee shop when a stranger had offered her an impossible bargain, a contract marriage that was supposed to be purely business. She had expected nothing but a transaction. Instead, she had found everything. Love didn't always come wrapped in predictable packages. Sometimes it arrived as a business proposition from a billionaire who didn't believe in love. Sometimes it grew slowly between two people who thought they were just playing roles. Sometimes the best things in life happen when you took a leap of faith into the unknown. Maya smiled as she felt her phone buzz with a text from Damien. Come home soon. I miss you. And our little one. She typed back, on my way. I love you. The scream that had exposed her secret truth had ultimately led to the greatest gift of her life. Not the money or the luxury or the prestige, but genuine love with a man who saw her, valued her, and chose her every single day. Their story had started with a contract, but it had become so much more. It had become real.